Welcome back to Digital Dispatch.
Ready for another deep dive.
You bet. This week, we're all about Elon Musk and...
His latest venture.
Exactly. He's starting an AI gaming studio.
Under his company, XAI, right?
Yeah, XAI. It's, you know...
You got a lot of attention.
Definitely. So we're going to unpack all that, what Musk has said about it.
What exactly XAI even is.
And why this might be a bigger deal than it, seems at first.
Yeah, there's more to it than meets the eye.
For sure. So to kick things off, let's talk about...
Musk's announcement.
Right. All over Twitter and the news, everyone's talking about it.
He's not exactly subtle, is he?
Nope. He tweeted that XAI is starting this gaming studio. And get this, he wants to make games great again.
Ooh, that MAGA phrasing. That's loaded, isn't it? It makes you wonder about his vision for this studio.
It really does. And speaking of, critiques of the industry.
Right, because he didn't stop there.
Yeah, he didn't. Dogecoin co-founder Billy Marcus, he was talking about how the gaming industry is ideologically captured or something like that.
Ideological capture, yeah. He was saying basically that it's lost its way.
And Musk jumps in, saying there are too many studios owned by these massive corporations.
Interesting. It sounds like he's tapping into that feeling some people have, that these big corporations are more about profits than creativity.
Right, and maybe not taking enough risks.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're just churning out the same kind of games over and over again.
And maybe that's why some, core gamers feel kind of left out.
It's possible. They're not seeing the games they want, the kind of games that push boundaries and try new things.
And then there's this whole thing with...
the avowed controversy.
Yes, the Xbox game. Musk really went after them for their pronoun selection feature.
Called it utterly unacceptable, didn't he?
Yeah, and that got people talking. I mean, what do you make of that?
Hard to say for sure. Is it a genuine critique of the game's design? Or is it something else,
Like, is it more about his personal views?
Maybe. It definitely raises questions about what his vision for this XAI gaming studio really is.
It does. And then there's his reaction to... well,
the allegations against Microsoft.
Yes, about discriminatory hiring practices in their gaming division. He called out Satya Nadella, the CEO, directly on Twitter.
That was a bold move. It makes you wonder what his motivation was.
Right. Is he genuinely concerned about discrimination? Or is this all strategic, trying to position XAI as the good guy?
It's hard to tell. But it definitely adds another layer of complexity to this whole thing.
It really does. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit.
Talk about XAI itself.
Yes. What do we actually know about this company?
Well, they were founded in July 2023. Initially, it seemed like they were going to be a competitor to ChatGPT.
Right, I remember hearing about that.
They've developed an open source AI called Grok, and they've raised a ton of money. Billions, actually.
Wow, that's impressive. Okay, so open sourcing Grok, that's pretty interesting.
It is. It means that basically anyone can access the code and contribute to its development.
So it's not just XAI working on it?
Exactly. It could be a global community of developers.
That's a very different approach than what we usually see.
It is. It has the potential to really accelerate innovation in AI.
I can see that. But it also seems kind of risky, doesn't it? Making this powerful technology available to anyone.
It definitely has its challenges. They'll need to be very careful about how they manage that, but the potential rewards could be huge.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out.
Okay, so where were we?
Right. AI and gaming. Musk seems to think AI is the key to unlocking all this crazy creative potential in games.
It's a bold claim, for sure.
But how? How could AI actually change, the way games are made and played? Can you give us some examples?
Absolutely. One big area is procedural generation.
Procedural generation.
Yeah, it's where the game world, the characters, even the storyline, they kind of evolve on their own.
Yeah.
Based on what you do in the game.
Whoa, so it's not all predetermined.
Exactly. It's constantly changing, adapting. Every playthrough would be unique.
That's wild. So, you could have a game where the environment reacts to your choices. Cities could rise and fall based on what you do.
Exactly. Alliances could shift. Civilizations could evolve. It'd be a whole new level of, emergent storytelling.
That's mind-blowing. But what about the game developers? What happens to them in this AI-driven world?
That's a question a lot of people are asking, not just in gaming, but in all sorts of creative fields.
Right, because if AI can do all this, do we even need human developers anymore?
Well, I think it's more likely that AI would become a tool for developers, not a replacement.
A tool. So instead of coding every little detail of a game world by hand.
They could use AI to generate the basic framework, yeah.
And then they can focus on the, the story, the characters, the overall experience.
Exactly. AI could handle the heavy lifting, freeing up developers to be more creative, more experimental. They could push the boundaries of what's possible in gaming.
That makes a lot of sense. But wouldn't there be a risk of, games feeling kind of generic or lacking that human touch?
It's a valid concern, but ultimately the developers would still be the ones shaping the experience. They'd set the tone, the rules of the world, guide the player's journey.
So it's not about AI taking over. It's about AI empowering developers to do even greater things.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Okay, so we've talked about how AI could change game development, but what about the actual gameplay itself? How would that be different?
Well, think about NPCs, non-player
Right,
characters.
characters you interact with in the game.
Exactly. Traditionally, they've been pretty limited. They follow pre-scripted paths, say the same lines over and over.
Yeah, it can get repetitive.
But with AI, NPCs could learn and adapt to your actions. They could become much more realistic, unpredictable, engaging.
So every encounter would be unique.
Exactly. Imagine fighting an AI-powered opponent that can analyze your playstyle, learn from your tactics, and adjust its strategy accordingly. It would take strategy and skill to a whole new level.
That sounds intense. It seems like AI could also be used to, personalize the gaming experience.
Absolutely. AI could track your preferences, learn what you enjoy, what you struggle with. It could adjust the difficulty, the challenges to match your skill level.
So everyone could have a tailored gaming experience.
Exactly. It could make games more accessible to a wider range of players, from casual gamers to hardcore enthusiasts.
This is all very exciting, but I'm sure there are, some potential downsides to consider as well.
Of course, AI is a powerful tool, but like any tool, it can be misused. One of the biggest concerns is bias.
Bias.
Yeah, if the AI is trained on a biased dataset, it could perpetuate those biases within the game world. That could lead to unfair or discriminatory outcomes for certain players.
That's a serious issue, especially given how important, representation and inclusivity are in gaming today. How can we make sure AI is used ethically in game development?
Well, it starts with the data. We need to make sure the data sets used to train AI are diverse and representative, encompassing a wide range of perspectives.
Right, so it's not just about the technology itself, it's about who's developing it and what their values are.
Exactly. We need diverse and inclusive teams creating these AI-powered games, teams that represent the players they're designing for. We need to ask ourselves, who benefits from this technology? Who might be harmed? And how can we use AI to create a more inclusive and equitable gaming landscape?
Those are really important questions. It seems like AI has the potential to transform gaming in incredible ways, but it's not without its complexities.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's a powerful tool with a lot of potential, both good and bad. It's up to us to guide its development and ensure that it's used responsibly.
This has been really insightful. I'm excited to learn more about, how XAI is specifically approaching all of this.
Well, that's a perfect transition to our final segment, where we'll take a closer look at XAI itself, their technology, and what it might actually take to bring Musk's grand vision to life.
Okay, so back to XAI. We've talked about Musk's vision, his critiques, and the potential of AI. But what about XAI itself? What do we know about the company?
Well, we touched on it earlier, but XAI was founded back in July of 2023. Their goal, as they've stated, is to create what they call safe and beneficial artificial general intelligence.
Safe and beneficial. That's interesting wording.
It is. And, Musk has been pretty vocal about his concerns with how other AI companies are developing, especially OpenAI.
Right. He co-founded OpenAI, but then left.
Yeah, because he didn't agree with the direction they were headed.
So it seems like with XAI, he wants to do things differently.
Exactly. He sees it as a way to, steer AI development in a more responsible direction. He's worried about AI becoming too powerful, potentially even dangerous.
Right. I've heard him talk about that before. And that brings us back to Grok, their open source AI. They're positioning it as a competitor to ChatGPT, right?
That's right. But the big difference is that Grok is open source.
So anyone can access the code, make changes, contribute to its development,
Exactly. That's a pretty radical departure from how most AI is developed.
and could lead to a much faster pace of innovation.
Potentially, yeah. It's like crowdsourcing AI development.
I see the appeal, but isn't it risky to just let anyone access this kind of powerful technology?
There are definitely risks involved. They'll need to find ways to prevent misuse, but the potential benefits are huge.
Okay, so back to gaming. How does Grok fit into their plans for this AI gaming studio?
Well, imagine if Grok wasn't just a standalone AI, but like a platform.
A platform, what do you mean?
I mean,
I can see how that would be revolutionary.
mhm.
But we have to circle back to those ethical concerns we've been discussing. How is XAI approaching those?
That's the big question, isn't it? Musk keeps saying XAI is all about developing AI that's safe and beneficial. But what does that actually mean in practice? Only time will tell. They need to be transparent, engage with experts in AI ethics, and actively work to mitigate potential biases and risks.
It's a lot to consider. It seems like the success of XAI's gaming venture hinges on more than just technology. It's also about responsible development, ethical considerations, all of that.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating time to be watching this all unfold. The convergence of AI and gaming has so much potential, and XAI is right at the forefront of it all.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today, but it's been a really thought-provoking dive into Elon Musk's AI gaming ambitions. What a fascinating and rapidly evolving landscape. And hey, we'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on all this? What are some cool AI gaming concepts you can imagine? Drop a comment below and let's keep this conversation going. Thanks for joining us on